Lefebvre International, it provides a large umbrella of financial services for business. So how did Lefebvre International come to life, and why are you so passionate about working with businesses?
Well, first of all, it was a natural fit for me. I mean, I went from the brokerage industry at the age of 22, 32 years ago, 13 years as a senior broker, branch manager for Canada's top 3 brokerage firms. Mm-hmm. And then it was just a natural migration to me and getting into the financial services in the United States. Mm-hmm. And that's how I was able to get into the why I'm so passionate about it. I guess it's helping people, helping businesses, being able to understand how to process the complicated world of transactions globally. I think that's the best way.
And things have gotten a lot more complicated even over the last 20 years with the internet. How has those changes affected the businesses these days?
Well, you know, you're hearing things like cryptocurrencies, blockchain technology. If you're not on the cutting edge, if you're not keeping up with your payment processing, you're going to definitely be, you know, I always use a perfect example, and actually I was talking to a fellow Canadian back in Toronto. Mm-hmm. That's an MBA case study. Use example, Netflix went to Blockbuster, yeah, and they wanted to say, hey, we could bring you a technology where we can have, you know, streaming movies right to the home. And Blockbuster said, nah, people are still going to keep going to see us. And look at the story. Mm-hmm. Another one is a Canadian story, BlackBerry. Not, you know, he was more focused on getting an NHL hockey team in Hamilton as opposed, and he just realized, you know, he had the world in his hand. Yeah. And then you get a company like Apple that came out with these little iPhones, and Samsung, and he lost his market share. So if you don't keep up to date with the technology, you'll be out of business very quickly.
What makes Lefebvre International different from, say, a business working with their traditional banks?
Well, first of all, bankers, you're a number. Mm-hmm. You know, for instance, a competitor in Canada, a very large bank, they have like 400,000 merchants across, you know, Canada. You know, this is something that, you know, you're just a number. You're not giving them custom-made, personalized service, and those are things that are quite important.
Well, because every business is different, right?
Correct. Yeah. So you know, you could be a restaurant or online business, or maybe you want to do international. You know, you want to be able to do business transactions in the United States, or just before I got onto this call, I had a client that just opened up an office in Germany. Mm-hmm. Who's the first guy they call, because they know that I can process in euros. I can process pretty well around the world.
Okay. So what is the process for a new business getting started with you? Do you have reps that go in and analyze and try to figure out what the best way to work with the businesses are?
Yeah. Or a lot of times, if it's international business, the rep will do a 3-way call, sort of like what we're doing right now. Sure. And we'll assess the needs of a business person and say, you know what's your goal? And if your goal is to, you want to be able to do business in the United States and you're incorporated in Canada, well, it's going to be a little hard to be able to do that, because there's other avenues that we can advise you so that you can process in the United States, or if you want to process in the UK, you know, so there's different avenues. People think, all right, well, we can just use the bank to be able to process transactions. It's not that simple at all.
So it sounds like you really want to be partners with the business owners in order to ensure their success.
Absolutely, because the more success they have, the more success we have, the more transactions we'll do for them. And if we make it easier for the business person to do transactions, then it becomes a lot easier for them to do business.
One of the great things that you do with businesses to be able to help that partnership is you provide free terminals. And I know that a lot of the other banks, they charge for them. Why do you offer these to your merchants for free?
14 years ago, there was a company that offered free terminals in the United States. And I always said that that was going to be a game changer. And I remember going to my processor and I said, we have to offer free terminals. And basically they said to me, Mark, it's a fad. They'll be out of business in 6 months. Had I listened to them, I would probably not be in the business today. Because in the US, that's the norm, is free terminals. And it just hasn't penetrated in Canada yet, and we're the first and only company that offers free terminals. Why do we do it? It just makes sense. If we're going to be partners with you and we want to do your transactions, why would we want to gouge you for a rental fee on top of that, or equipment fee? Why not, if we can beat the rate that you have, why not offer free terminals?
Exactly.
And we're looking at them for long term.
One of your organization's specialties is e-commerce. Now, how important is online business to organizations today? Should all businesses have some form of e-commerce?
I believe, and don't quote me on this, I believe it was Bill Gates that said that if your business is not online within the next 3 years, or it could be 5, you're out of business. Think of Amazon, think of Walmart, think of Best Buy, think of all these businesses, the brick and mortars, they're all online. And the majority of their business, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was a year ago or 2 years ago, there were more sales online on Thanksgiving, Black Friday than there was at the retail stores. I may be, I don't have the right statistics, but it's pretty damn close.
So even like the smaller businesses, like the restaurants and others, should find some form of way to be able to help their clients by doing some kind of e-commerce?
I believe so, and I'll tell you why. Like to give you an example, if you're a restaurant owner or a catering company, if you have like a special sauce or a secret ingredient, you could market that online. And what it's going to do, you'll be very surprised. You could make another $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a month just by offering your secret sauce. And if it's marketed right, with the right partners, you could make a lot of money online. Definitely.
And do you find that it also provides the businesses with an easier way to collect payments from their in-store customers as well?
Absolutely. What's nice about this is, let's say you're a doctor's office. Actually, in Canada, they don't pay for medical, but in the U.S., I'm trying to think of a good example in Canada. Maybe a dentist bill or something. If it's not on your, maybe that's not a good example. I got to think like a Canadian here for a second. I can't think of a chiropractor. Yeah. I'm sure they charge. So if you go to a chiropractor in Canada or in the United States, and you want to pay your bill, you can actually go online and pay your bill right from there. You put your invoice number and click it, and boom, it's paid. And it makes, I even have clients that on the bill, it'll say, oh, you can pay it online if you want. And they go in, poof, it's all done. And it's a simple process.
And it helps business owners focus on their business instead of on the financial elements. Exactly.
And the cash flow element is all in right away. It eliminates cash flow problem.
Another service that you provide is electronic funds transfers and recurring payments. How does that work for you?
Well, the businesses, excuse me about that. I had to, because I was coughing here.
Yeah.
Businesses, for instance, let's say you're a gym owner and, you don't want to pay by credit card or what have you. You could sign a form and it gives permission to a gym business to be able to take out, let's say it's your gym membership is $50 a month. You're giving them permission to take $50 a month out of their account every month, and it's recurring business. You push one button, you put it in, you never have to press it again every month. The only way you look at it, you get a report, and it'll say, oh, there was no money in his bank account. So then you just call that client up and say, hey, your membership will be revoked if you don't pay your $50. But what's nice about it, you don't have to send them an invoice. It's all done automatically. Also, cab companies, if they want to pay their their employees or any businesses, we can do direct deposit right into their bank account. And it's as simple as one push of a button, and you can pay hundreds or if not thousands of people within minutes.
And these payments you can go through either their checking account or their credit card?
No, the EFT is strictly for bank account.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, how easy is that? How easy is that for a new business to be able to implement?
Very simple. There's an underwriting process, of course. You don't just give anybody permission to go into people's bank account. So there's an underwriting process, and we'll require some information, and then we're able to give you what we call a MID, and you're now able to, we have our software. And it's a simple, you can pull money out of people's bank account with their permission, and you can push money into their people's bank account. Actually, you don't need permission to push money into people's bank account for some reason.
I don't mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me all you like.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So that's one of the things your reps, when they go in and deal with a business, to be able to assess their needs and see what they have to involve with that. I'm curious, and I'm only doing this on a personal basis because I have experience with martial arts schools and with gyms. I was a gym owner for a long time, so I'm familiar with that. Yep. Is the process with credit cards, is that coming? No, but I mean with electronic funds transfers. Can you set up recurring payments with credit cards?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
We do that through our gateway. So if you have a bunch of clients that are paying you a monthly membership or whatever for your services with their permission to take their credit card, you get them to sign a form, and then you input it. We have a virtual terminal. You input it in there, and you can have 200 clients paying you $50 a month for whatever membership, and every 1st or 15th of the month or 30th of the month, it's going to come out off their credit card every month. No problem there.
And you're seeing that more and more these days with wine clubs and with different other sporting goods can have their sporting good of the month or hey, remember the old cheesecake of the month people used to be able to get?
Cheesecake of the month? No, I don't remember that. But you're probably older than I am.
No, have you seen more and more of that happen through recurring through businesses?
Oh yeah, I do that. Well, that's what I do. I mean, I specialize in large online companies like multi-level marketing companies, and they do their auto ship every month, and they love that feature. I mean, it's very important, and it's also very important internationally. And why it's important, even more important, is everybody has that rule. You can't get over that 1% chargeback. So you don't want any fraudulent cards. You don't want any unauthorized credit, because if you do, you're going to be shut down. And that's something that's very important in our industry.
You do work internationally, and that's a large part. And the business world has gotten so that you're not just focusing on your one little area anymore. And so because of that, you now have offices, I'm sure, what I saw in Asia and in Europe and Canada and all of North America. How important is it now for people to start thinking about considering doing business internationally?
Well, you're seeing it all over Facebook. I'm sure you've heard of Shopify or WooCommerce. You could sell through those platforms, and it's integrated with us. So if you're processing, probably one of the most important business decision any business owners will do is getting the right credit card processor. Now, if you're going to go international, you want to deal with the right company as well. If you're going to just deal domestically in Canada or in the United States, then there's different processors that can handle that. That's called low risk. But when you start getting into international and doing high risk, and it's a whole area of specialty, and very few companies that can do that. Many will want to do that, but it's very hard to do.
And that's, I guess, one of the things you need to think about what the possibilities are in the future, right? I mean, if you started with one processor but you needed to grow, it'd be better off to start thinking right now as to what processor can grow with me.
Exactly. And if you're doing recurring billing, you don't want to get on a platform that's only domestic, and then when you start going international, you can't bring these on our because with the PCI compliance and we can't just take these clients and move them onto a new platform.
Yeah.
You can't do that. They got to re-sign onto your shopping cart into the new platform. So
Sure.
that's why you want one that not only you can grow with them just domestically, but the minute they start going international, you want to be on the right platform.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Now, what considerations should businesses make before they consider going internationally?
In the sense of, are you talking legally or
legally, how they set themselves up? Like, if I'm working with you as a
Yep.
as a business owner that's thinking about going internationally, what would be your best advice for me?
Internationally, depending on what countries you want to go into, there's going to be a lot of factors. Taxation will be a factor, how much tax you want to pay. The other factors will be what type of industry you're in. For instance, if you're a multi-level marketing company, where you're going to be doing business is very important in that arena. There's so many aspects. I mean, I have clients that incorporate in Malta. I have clients that incorporate in Europe, all over Europe, Asia. It all depends where. Everyone has different needs, and what is it that you're trying to accomplish? So many people are trying to build an international company with a domestic corporation. It just doesn't work a lot of time.
And that's not something your local accountant or anything is going to be able to help out with either.
You know what? At a very high level, maybe like a big accounting firm. The CPAs now, they're affiliated with international firms. Those are the ones that'll definitely be able to advise you, no doubt. Mm-hmm. But we have our own in-house CPAs. And, I'm a CFP, so we're able to give some pretty accurate advice as well.
Tell me a little bit about Universal Business Solutions and how that helps business owners.
Well, there's another sample as an example for yourself. Let's say you want to expand in the United States and you want to have an office in the United States. Mm-hmm. We can take care of that virtually. Within 5 minutes, you can have a Florida address, and you can have the phone ring in there. We'll even scan your email. We'll even send you a picture of the envelope. You can delete it right from your computer if you don't want to see it. If it's junk mail or if it's a bill, you can just delete it. We'll also be able to do incorporation. So if you want to incorporate in the United States, we can handle that for you. If you want to incorporate in Europe, we can take care of that for you. We have legal teams that handles that for us. And with Universal Business Solution, it's basically having no borders. So it's and also if you're from another country, for instance, in Canada, and you want to immigrate to the United States, we have a legal department that will be able to assist you and be able to help you find investments so that you can get your green card. So those are things that we help on the business world. Why? Because we want to do your credit card processing or your transactions internationally as well.
You'll even go as far as to help your business owners with marketing services. Why do you offer these marketing services for your clients?
Well, let's give you an example. You can have all the best website in the world. So if you have a website and it's beautiful, you probably spent $10,000, beautiful website. But if you don't have no traffic on it, it's not worth anything. So why we have these services is to help you increase your sales. So if we can help you increase your sales, today what's so important is marketing. And I'm sure my brother won't mind me telling you this story, and I shared this earlier. He was investing in Yellow Pages, and I told him, why are you investing in Yellow Pages when nobody's looking at Yellow Page books? And all of a sudden, he's changed his strategy into social media marketing, and his sales, he shared with me, went up 35% over the year before when he was advertising in Yellow Pages. That's a big difference. Like I said earlier, Bill Gates said, you've got to go where the people are. People are online. They're on Facebook. They're on LinkedIn. They're on Google+. They're on Pinterest. They're not in the Yellow Pages. You got to go where the people are and drive traffic to your website. That's the key.
Yeah, and how do people access these through your business?
We have, well, first of all, we have a whole marketing team. We have 50 people in our marketing, over 50 people in our marketing department. So whether they want to get a new logo or they want to set up a social media program or search engine optimization, if they just want to drive traffic or a keyword ad, or just, for Google search or what have you, we can handle that for them. It's a very simple process by going to our website, and we can have one of our specialists be able to contact the business person and really key it to their needs.
At Lefebvre International, you go above and beyond to be able to help these business owners for the same or lower rates than they're going to get through their local institutions.
Absolutely, and a local institution like the banks, they don't care. And again, I'm not going to say banks has their purpose, but they're not in the consulting business. They don't care if they're not going to want to help you grow your business. We care, and we want. I'm not going to name the client's name, but it's my little baby of a client that I feel very close to. They went from having $25,000 a month, they're now over $2 million a month. Wow. They just opened up in the UK, and I just got off the phone earlier. He's opening up an office in Germany on December 1st. I'm excited for them. They're getting ready to open in Australia, and then they're coming to Canada. So wow. So I'm quite excited. They went from $25,000 a month to now unlimited. They have no limits, which is very hard to get.
Now, Mark, how do you believe technology is going to further impact business in the next 5 years?
Oh my God. We don't even have to go back 5 years. It's changing. I'm telling you right now, I'll give you a perfect example. You go into Best Buy or go into Costco or wherever you buy your electronics or your technology, that's already outdated.
Yeah.
It's in the store. There's so much stuff coming into the marketplace. It's no different in business. Look at Shopify that's coming out. Amazon's doing amazing things. If we don't keep up with technology, I'm telling you, the poor little guy that's trying to do things out of his home and say, rather than just embracing it and working with it, they're going to be out of business in no time. They're in no time. You're already seeing it, I'm sure. Probably even across Canada, that you're probably seeing all that as well.
Well, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but Sears has been an institution in Canada for 150 years. Is gone. They're shutting down all their stores.
Wow.
And all of that is because of Amazon and Walmart and not being able to keep up with the high costs of having a brick and mortar place in competing in the online world.
Yep, and the acquisition of Whole Foods that Amazon just bought. They're gonna. I think in the next 6 months, even you're gonna already see a shift toward even grocery stores are gonna start feeling it. Why go to a grocery store when you can have it come to your door?
Exactly.
It's just amazing, and I'm already seeing technology even in the refrigerator. It'll tell me if I'm low on milk, or and I don't know if you know this, but I can't remember the name of it. A friend of mine was just telling me something I'm going to look at. So let's say you have toilet paper. You put a little dot in the closet, and when it gets low on toilet paper, Amazon will automatically ship the toilet paper to your home. It's just mind-blowing what's coming on, or what's happening.
And how do you think that blockchain and cryptocurrency is going to affect your business?
That's one thing. Is I'm embracing it. I've just acquired 91.5% of a public company, which I wish I could tell you the name of it, but I can't right now for insider trading. But we are going to be focusing on cryptocurrencies. We're going to be focusing on technology and cutting edge. Very important. We've hired one of the top securities firm here in the United States, and we have one of the top securities lawyer in the country. And what's nice about this is we're going to be doing it transparently. I just find that in the world of cryptocurrency right now, it's more like the Wild West.
Yeah.
I want to put some stability into it. I want it backed by gold, something solid, and it's got to make sense for me, and it needs to be organized. Mm-hmm. And if we have all those ingredients, it's going to be a slam dunk to be able to come out. And we also need to monetize that, where there's more businesses. Believe it or not, I had a rep of mine from Buffalo fly in on Friday, and he took me out for lunch. And he said, Mark, I want to be the first person to buy you lunch with cryptocurrency.
Oh, wow.
Blown away. I was blown away. It was my first time, so it was something very exciting.
Well, it's always great to be able to hear people being innovative and corporations being innovative in that, because it's so more common to see businesses suffer because they didn't start thinking about that beforehand.
Yep. And the world is changing so fast before us. We just don't want to miss the boat. You know what I mean? If you missed the boat with Amazon, or if you missed the boat with Apple, why not embrace what's coming? Because I'm telling you, it's coming very quickly, and you also have to think outside your domestic environment and start thinking globally, because the world of internet, I don't know if you realize this, but you can have friends anywhere around the world on your Facebook.
Yeah.
And it's really what it's done. It's really brought your world that much closer, that much smaller. Like, internet has really brought the world smaller. Like, I mean, I can talk to, right after this call, I have reps in Australia that I'll be talking to. So I'm just telling you, it's so amazing how the world changes, and how close everything seems. And it just seems like it's just in our back door. It just seems like right now you're talking to me and you're in the other room. I mean,
exactly.
Technology is amazing.
Saying, Mark, I want to get into business. What would be your best guidance for me?
Oh, geez. Is it online business? Is it just you want to open up a restaurant? Do you want to open up a pizzeria? Well,
here's a better thing. What would it be like for somebody starting in your industry?
Oh, in my industry? You mean in the credit card processing side?
Exactly. Well, that's something you're very, very familiar with.
Okay.
Right? So if I was looking at wanting to stand, say in 10 years, Mark, I want to stand in your shoes. What would be your best guidance for me?
Wow.
Stay out of your way.
No, you know what? I really don't care. There's a lot of business out there. It's a big world.
Yeah.
What would be the best advice for someone? Actually, you want to have a mentor. I had a mentor at a very high level. He's also working for me now, but at a very large processing company. And we work together now. We're very good friends. Not that we weren't, but we were. He was a mentor, and he opened up the Canadian marketplace for me, or he was instrumental in helping me with that. It's getting the right partners that will want to see you grow, and that's the best way I can describe it. And then of course you want to. I mean, the markets have changed. Like, for instance, let's say you want to get into processing for businesses, for instance, free terminals. In Canada, they don't get it. And I'm not knocking Canadians, because I can say it, I am Canadian. Yeah. They don't get the big long-term picture. You're going to have them, if you do something good for your client and give them a free equipment, don't give them a contract, and don't give them termination fees, and don't gouge them. I mean, just be competitive. I can tell you right now, that client, you're going to have them for life. Because now when it comes to, oh, wow, I'm expanding in Europe, now you're going to get, who do you think they're going to call? They're not going to call the bank. They're going to call you, because you geared them into the right direction. And that's why we built a nice little client base internationally.
I guess the big thing too for you is that you value each customer individually, and not as they're not just another number in the client list.
Absolutely.
So instead of thinking about how much money people bring to you, you're thinking about what value you bring to them.
Absolutely, and that's one of our motto, I should say. I actually had a rep from Canada yesterday just tell me, says, Mark, why don't we just, I want to make more money and I want to be able to charge for the client for the equipment. And I said, are you looking short-term or long-term into this business? And they said long-term. I'm saying, find other avenues. If you're going to get them into the credit card processing, you're just going to be like everybody else. If you're going to go in there and charge them, why aren't they dealing with the banks then? They're not going to want to deal with you. So you got to give your client added value. And if you give them added value, you give them free equipment, that's already, the bank's not doing that. So it's so much easier to be able to do business that way. And I'm saying that in Canada and in the United States. In the United States, there's a lot more companies that are doing the free terminals now because they understand this philosophy. But but in Canada, I have nobody giving free terminals. They're still selling the equipment or leasing it. If you're getting into, and the other thing I said to that rep of mine, I said, okay, so let's say you went to another company and you start selling the equipment, and you know what, you may sell them right now, but then 6 months from now, another one of my rep will go into the store and say, oh, you have an Ingenico? What are you paying? $60 a month? How would you like it if I gave it to you for free? Free? You've just lost credibility. You understand the difference? That's what people have to see, and they will. And that's how they see it in America, and Canadians are going to start understanding that. I mean, we're doing fine with the free terminal, but we're going to do even better because we're the first and only company right now. And they always remember the first. You know what I mean? You always remember the first company that does it. And that's one of the, that's why I fought for a good 4 years to get free terminals into Canada.
Yeah, and trust is not just everything, it's the only thing.
Oh, you know what? You only have one time to do a good impression on your client. And that's the important part. The other things that you'll also know on the low risk side, none of my reps in the US or Canada, I'm talking low risk, like for pizza shop and what have you, not one of them get what we call residual. So what's unfortunate in some of the industry, what you'll get is they'll tack on a rate that's higher. So the reps say, can I charge more? And I'm saying, again, are you looking short term or are you looking long term? Yeah. And that's why we don't give any residuals they get a commission up front, but they don't get an ongoing residual. And what that does is stops reps or rogue reps, as I would say, that will charge the merchant extra money because we're constantly, someone else is coming in and they're going to say, oh, you know what, we'll go lower. Yeah. And so what we do is we go as low as possible where there's no meat on the bone and give free equipment because that's how we've done it for all these years.
What is the difference between, like you say, low risk for like the pizza shops? What would make somebody a high risk?
A high risk would be an example online. So if you go online or even at a pizza shop, it can become high risk, and I'll show you as an example. That would be like card not present. So in other words, I don't know if you've ever gone, I know in Canada they have the PIN now, so that's unheard of. But in the United States, even though they have the smart card, they don't have the PIN, which I still don't understand, but that's okay. So what they do, the difference between low risk and high risk, like a restaurant, that's card present. So Visa, MasterCard knows that card was actually swiped, so the chances of fraud is very minimal. But if you go online, someone could have just took somebody else's credit card. You have no way of knowing. That could be a fraudulent transaction. A lot of people don't know. And again, when I go to Canada, I got shocked. I've been in the US now for almost 20 years. But when I go to Canada and seeing people use debit cards, I cringe. No big deal. The debit card was originally intended to use at an ATM machine to take cash out. That was it. But how Canadians got into the POS having to interact blows my mind. Why would you give anyone access to your bank account? Why? Yeah. So my caution and my advice for everybody is use credit cards. You're going to pay it off in 6 months, in 30 days anyways. Or if you don't, okay, you'll pay interest, but at least you could. And one of the points that I also want to say is, and you know, when people say, aren't you worried about people stealing your credit card? No, because when I get my statement, okay, I have, a lot of people don't know this, 6 months to call my bank and say, that was not my card. I did not go to that store. A lot of people don't know that. You don't get 6 months for a debit card. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And here's the best one. Again, I'm going to use my brother as an example. He used to use his debit card to pay for. He has a catering company, and all his suppliers were all by credit card or by debit card. And I said, why do you do that? Why don't you use your credit card? And he says, yeah, I know, but I don't want to use. I said, but don't you want the points? He's gone to Taiwan. He's gone to actually, he's coming here to Florida in January with his family, his entire family, and he bought it with the point that he purchased. You don't get points on your Interact card.
No.
I don't understand that concept. I really don't get it. I don't get why people use that Interact card. There's no logic to me. The banks in Canada have done an amazing job to convince Canadians to use the debit card. That's the only way I can see it. I haven't experienced it, unfortunately, because I've been living in the U.S., but I can tell you right now, there's no logic in using a debit card other than going to an ATM machine. That's my take on that.
Now, would a business owner, in order to not think about being high risk, would using a service like a PayPal or those Squares be of benefit to them?
Well, a lot of people don't know this, but Square and PayPal are what you call aggregators. They serve its purpose. So, for instance, if your sales are low, if you're worried about, first of all, the ones that do go to Square or PayPal are the ones that cannot get approved and get a merchant account. So they'll go to Square and they'll take anybody. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. It does have a purpose. You know, if you're only doing if you're doing less than $500 a month in sales, go to Square, go to PayPal, you'll be well taken care of. But if you start doing some serious volume, okay, keep in mind when you have your own merchant account, you're allowed to have what you call, talking about fraud, a 1% chargeback. And that 1% is based on your total sales. If you go to PayPal or Square for that matter, and you just get one chargeback or one fraudulent card, chances are they'll shut your account down and even freeze your bank account. If you don't believe me, it's a serious thing. And I'm not going to talk bad about Square because I'm telling you, they're a global company. They serve their purpose, but I'm just telling you, for the serious entrepreneur, that's not where you go.